Hi, I'm currently working on something. Give me a second. We're not going to start yet. Thank you for being early. Currently trying to set up OBS and live streaming.
Does my microphone sound alright this time?
Your mic is really... It sounds like that has been short-circuited and something has been damaged. So have those headphones been underwater? Or... yeah, it sounds like they've been underwater and been short-circuited. Okay. What's the microphone? Oh. Those. Yeah. Are you interested in audio engineering? Oh, you're getting a... oh, I see what you're saying. HyperX. Oh, comes with... is that USB? Okay, I see. Yeah, it's USB. Condenser, yeah. So that microphone is going to be pretty sensitive. If you turn up the gain, it'll be able to hear... it'll be able to capture something from across the room, basically. So you just be careful about that. Especially if you have speakers nearby, and it's playing with the microphone is capturing. Even though it's a cardioid pattern, meaning it doesn't really capture behind, it mostly captures in front, you can still create feedback. But you can see the selectable patterns. So you have, these are polar functions, okay? So you have a figure 8, omnidirectional, cardioid, and another figure 8. But I guess that's stereo. Interesting. Stereo is just, I guess, sideways figure 8. Okay, and you just select it by, that's good. It has its own audio interface inside, and so that means basically you just select the driver from down here, or in your settings. So I guess this should work fine. But if you're interested in audio engineering, I can give you recommendations on stuff. So, by the way, we're live streaming all of this.
Let's go. I can donate in the chat. What's the link?
This is mostly just to record. So I'm actually going to start recording now. Yeah, this isn't really for yeah, it's mostly just for recording. I'm going to actually turn down my voice. It's a little high. There we go. That's a little bit better.
So, if we're going into 2 separate rooms, do I also need to record this?
What room are you going? Who's doing which room?
I don't know.
Well, first we need to establish who's going into what room. It looks like we don't have everyone coming in today.
Uh-oh. Xavier better come or else they'll break his kneecaps. I mean,
What?
Hmm?
Who better come, or else you'll break his kneecaps?
Xavier. Oh wait, we're live streaming. Maybe I shouldn't say that. That's like on record.
Yep.
Oh no.
That has been recorded.
I've been caught in 4K.
It looks like Tristan and Tristan evidently has something going on, but he hasn't told me. And Reagan said he's not able to make it. So we'll wait a little bit. How's everyone doing?
Good.
I'm doing well.
Nate, are you eating right now?
Oh, is that audible?
Yup.
I'll mute.
Is my microphone quality like?
No. It's terrible.
Nah, actually, it's amazing. No, you have like an echo and everything.
Oh, you want to hear an echo?
Oh no. Let's just play feedback.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, let's go.
Here,
Hello, David.
guess which room I'm in now.
Probably your room.
A cave.
Oh wait, there's
Room reverb.
room
That's not a
reverb.
room.
This is a cathedral.
Oh, that's too pixelated. I can't read the words. You should make your screen
Yeah, I can't.
larger. So
I can't
change it.
actually zoom into that.
Is there an elevator option?
Um,
Oh yeah. Did you see that
Like a really
Jalen and
small
Thea
cramped
got
space.
stuck in an elevator?
really? When did that happen?
Earlier today.
Yikes.
That's actually how Rust got made. It was because some guy got stuck in an elevator and was like, hey, I'm gonna make an error-safe language so that doesn't happen. No, it's like an actual story.
I believe you.
Wow.
I totally believe you. Is this everyone?
Did you want us? Yeah. Tristan's not going to be here. He worked really hard today, moving stuff for my family
Mm-hmm.
at Black Canyon. But
Okie doke.
yeah, he should be here next week.
Alright. I think 2 weeks from now, I am not going to be on because I have a meeting with Meridian High School. Let me double check that. Yeah, the 26th, we're not going to have a meeting, but I'm going to make an announcement for that. Alright. What, Nate?
My dad was telling me that I should write the website for the DMV, or that we should.
For the
We should just rewrite
DMV?
it. Yeah, because it doesn't work.
I am not surprised by that. Barely anything in the government, like technologically wise, works, except for the military. But that's different. Is there anyone else who's gonna?
I don't know. Hopefully Xavier.
Well, he
Let's
hasn't
see.
been for any other thing, and he didn't
Vedika
say that
might.
he'd be joining. Yeah, Vedika.
There's the cuz person. I don't know who they are, but they're
Right.
they're existent. Is that it? That's it.
Where's the bagel guy?
He
It's-
said
that's
that
true.
he's
Oh wait, no.
not he won't be here for personal reasons. All right, I just messaged Vedika and Bagel, not Bagel, cuz. God, my head itches. That's annoying. Anyway, yeah, the start of this video is really boring. All right, you know what? Everyone's 5 minutes late, so I guess we'll just start. How are all of you doing?
I'm good. I was
Any
just
questions?
messing around in my website a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions regarding last week or HTML? Well, I guess that was last week, but any questions regarding anything relevant? Please be relevant.
I was looking at how I was trying to remember how to do like different types of formats, like making grids and stuff in HTML. I know we got to the divs and stuff earlier. I did manage to find the worst contrast text possible, and made that my website. But besides that, I was just trying to figure out how to get divs to work.
Can we see what you have? And maybe we can help you out.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
No, can we see your
It's-
stuff?
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I thought you could see because I pushed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, you pushed it to your own branch? We
Okay.
actually might be able to see that.
I thought I did.
What's your branch name?
Oh, wait, do you have access to the Git?
David Q. It's not much. Like I said, I spent most of my time trying to find the worst contrast colors and messing around with divs.
Does he have
Git checkout
access?
David 2 had an error.
It's not.
Yeah, I don't think we gave you access, so
Mm.
Hmm.
I can just show it on my screen.
sure.
Yeah, that works better. Onshape. Wow, you designed Onshape? I have a
No, that was
few
gonna-
words I
that
have
was
to
gonna
say
be
to
my
you.
Example of a bad website. I
Really?
was just gonna use Onshape. I'm not even joking, yes. I'm gonna show you guys. I'll show you guys what I mean later. So these are the colors. I was using these blocks of text to try and figure out if I could get a grid set up where I had a middle div and then a left div and a right div. In my code, what I had so far was I had row and column, and then I did CSS for them where I made I was following some online stuff, and it said to float your column left, but then when I did that, like, it didn't change anything. It didn't change the positioning of any of my text. Do you guys know what just happened?
Well, one thing, you haven't imported Bootstrap into your so right now you're in
Oh.
the Git repo part of it. You haven't imported Bootstrap into your HTML, right? And so that's why it looks why you have Times New Roman and why you're having to write CSS. Just remember, CSS is what? This is the most important part of last
That.
week. Was what was the exact word? What were the exact words that Sandra used?
I don't remember, but pretty bad. I remember they were negative. They were not
Exactly. It is a garbage language for garbage people. Thank you. Here, I'm showcasing the wrong thing. So there we go. Yeah. So now it's being recorded. Now we can see your all right.
good.
By the
Sorry.
way, that was live streamed, David. And all of my
Huh?
we just live streamed that, by the way. That was recorded.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, CSS is a garbage language for garbage people. Don't write CSS if you can, if you absolutely can avoid it. There are use cases where you'd want to in combination with Bootstrap, because Bootstrap doesn't have everything, but you can like expand upon it, like extending colors and stuff. But I would just recommend using Bootstrap for absolutely everything. And I think I haven't polled. Git poll. There we go. Yeah. So now Sandra has added some extra stuff for Bootstrap, and so you can see a lot better about what's going on and how to import
Are
it.
you trying to share that
Um,
screen? Or
Path to bootstrap.min. Oh, if you have downloaded it. All right. Yeah, and yeah, I don't think this is right, Sandra.
apologies.
Yeah, this URL is not quite right. You might want to double check on that. But and just copy from Git Bootstrap and that'll work just fine. And the HTML, the Markdown file has more content on Bootstrap. I just recommend using Bootstrap because you can float columns, you can do stuff a lot easier by just adding classes, and you don't have to write any CSS. and it's designed to be mobile friendly, right? Oh, we have a new person.
I'm
Hi, Jalen.
I think it's correct. I don't know if you're looking at the wrong version. Maybe I didn't push or something.
That's the most. That's what I. That's the most recent. I just pulled.
Oh, well, never mind then.
No worries. Not a big deal. All right. So next thing, Cedar, you want to show us what you've worked on? Wrong one. Whoops. I'm still getting used to my mouse functions. Alright, so since he can't talk, I'll be talking for him. Currently, we can't see anything. It's just a black screen.
That's the most beautiful website I've ever seen.
It's gorgeous. Ah, that. Are you on Linux? Yeah. That's the kind of problem. This is the problem that people have with Linux. Is because you have so much control over everything. Then, when stuff like it doesn't work straight out of the box. Unlike Windows and Mac. And I hate saying that about Mac, but it honestly does work straight out of the box. And this is the problem with Linux, is you have to set everything up. And when something fails. Yeah, exactly. Screw you, Mac. No one likes Mac. Oh,
They did
I just
invent eyesight though, so that's pretty impressive.
what?
They invented eyesight. Like I couldn't see it when they invented eyesight, and now I can see it. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that definitely. Oh, my. With this screen, that's a little
It's
low.
WWDC reference.
I don't know what that reference is. There. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm just gonna undo all that. That looks like trash. Alright. I'm gonna move that. No, not that one. This one. This scene, I'm gonna move me over here. Okay. Alright. So, now we can see the chat. I would use Bootstrap, Flavid, and Cedar. Work on getting that set up, but you don't have to do that today. Jalen, do you have anything to present?
I have something. Something. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Maybe. Give me a sec.
Do I have the piano set up? Oh,
Jeopardy.
someone just disconnected.
No, they didn't.
Oh. No, Cedar's screen was just they just stopped sharing their screen.
Being a million. Sec.
Hold on. I got just some music for this. But I have to set it up first.
Okay.
Oh,
So
darn it. Alright.
What I basically did was try to install TypeScript, relearn TypeScript, and debug TypeScript, and I'm not.
Oh,
quite
this
there
is
yet.
for the this is for the HTML site. This isn't for the robotic scouting team.
the site. Okay. I have something for that too. Just give me a sec. Give me like 5 minutes time or something.
Okay. So I guess we can start working on the we can start working on showcasing good and bad websites.
Oh, I got one. We want to show.
Oh, but you're my assistant.
Yeah, but can I join in the fun?
No, you're not allowed. Cedar wants to show something.
I spent like 10 whole seconds on this. Okay.
Cedar wants to show something. Oh my god. Well, this is not using Bootstrap. Or maybe it is.
What if he is, but he made it Comic Sans on purpose?
Oh, he just changed the...
Does the
Wow.
mobile view work?
Hey, look, it's
Nope. It doesn't quite work at all views, but actually phones rarely go that small. But you'd have to like check the actual pixels.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
It's probably you can call it just not breakpoints, maybe. I don't know.
I'd actually add a breakpoint for the side cat to move up above the paragraph. If I were you. But I hate that you did Comic Sans.
But funny.
No one likes
skeleton.
you. Also, if I were you, I'd move the not only is he beautiful, but he's got personality to back. First, I would respell back to BACC, and then I would, instead of doing container fluid, I would do a container. Yes. All right. Nah, I wouldn't
May
use
I show
PX5. I would do dot container. I don't need to type that. Flavid.
Okay. So for my website that is terribly designed, I'm going to do Onshape. You all thought you could get out of learning CAD, but here you are, all trapped the same. So here we have Onshape, which is the CAD we use in robotics. You may notice some interesting design choices on the part of anybody who made Onshape. These are contexts, they're very important. You'll notice that when I click this drop down to find all my contexts, instead of wrapping back up, they just keep going down. So now I can't access any of my contexts.
You can't scroll
And
through?
instead, I can't scroll through. They just go all the way down.
Whoops.
Theoretically, I can zoom out my web page and get to access them, but
Yeah, that's dumb.
yeah, it's very dumb. In all honesty, I just wanted to vent about it. I hate this feature so much.
Nate's like, can you
'cause these
inspect
context
element and then
tracks-
delete options? I mean, yes, but at the same point, that's no.
Yeah. The cool thing about Onshape is that you can theoretically program your own like tools and stuff. But yeah, that's about it. I
That's
just really
actually
hate this
something
whole
that Braden
design
and I are doing. Braden and I are designing a serpentine belt calculator. And so we can have 3 or more pulleys and a belt calculation on it. Concave and convex, like all sorts of calculations on it. It's actually going to be really cool.
That does sound cool. Do we only have belt calculators for like
2.
pulleys right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
That is cool.
It is. Anyone who's like, I just want to learn programming is like, what the heck are they talking about? Can we just? Did Nate? I mean,
Wait, can I stop? Okay.
did you live stream some of our CAD, David?
Did I? That was only my CAD, and it was only
That's
like
not-
one part.
It's not actually a part of the robot.
No, it's not.
Okay, I believe you. All right.
Well, okay.
What's your good website?
My good website. Let me think for a second. I think I had one open. Let's see.
Cedar, you want to show a good and a bad website? Or did you not have one? Okay, you got it. So what the reason this is a good exercise to like understand why when we have a bad user experience, we need to like really understand why is this a bad user experience and what could we potentially do to fix it. So this is good, right? Is this what you're saying? All right. That's quite responsive. I like that. Okay, it's a multi-page website, multi-page application. Highly responsive, right? Yeah, dark mode is good. One thing I'll actually say, for a lot of times when you're searching stuff, people like the confirm button just so and have a visual change. And so with that search function, I may consider, instead of making it automatically search, make it press enter or like press a search button, because like on mobile sites, if you're trying to search, you have the whole keyboard up, and if you don't press enter or a button, the keyboard doesn't go away, and you can't oftentimes you can't really see what the result is or if it has changed, right? And so having that like confirmation, okay, I did press this button and it did change, is actually a good thing. But I see what they're trying to do with trying to make it as responsive as possible. Good stuff. And this is a bad website. Okay. Wait, hold on. What are you showing us? Oh. Let's try not to be sacrilegious here. But we can look at the content, look at the website just based on a user experience and not be too sacrilegious. Although that really does suck. Can you scroll sideways? Or do you have to zoom out to view everything? Oh, you can scroll sideways. But it keeps the content on the left. Oh, gosh. That's really bad. Scrolling sideways often equals bad. Oh yeah, HTTPS is important. We'll go through cybersecurity. Scrolling sideways is good if you have something like a carousel. But if you have to scroll the entire page sideways in order to view everything, it sucks. Yeah. Their font isn't even consistent.
It's also very up to date with the new movies.
Oh yeah, 2016 or 2018. Oh wow, that's very up to date. That's like Infinity War. Everything is Marvel movies in my head. Those are my benchmarks. Not benchmarks, but like that's how I get a timeline in my head.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, let's I think we've spent about like 20 minutes on this. We can I think we can move on unless there's something that anyone is like dying to showcase. Daniel, hold up.
Monkey.html.
No. I think Jalen wants to show something. Oh gosh.
Let's go.
Oh jeez.
The big
ugly website.
Let's go.
Okay, we're done. All right, I'm kicking Dan. Who votes that we kick Daniel from the server?
I don't think he's the imposter. I'm not gonna eject him.
I'm not cyan. I think it's cyan. Actually, it's blue. It's blue. My bad.
It's blue. Yeah, blue sus.
Okay, so let's move on. The thing is, I think everyone here has taken either has taken a previous Intro to Web Dev class, or already has experience with object-oriented programming and understands like the basics of that. And so I don't think we need to split off into two groups. If we had everyone here where most like there's actually pretty even split between like beginners and people who have been in web dev or just in programming for a long period of time, we would split, but I think we can go at a faster pace. I'm reminding you that this is recorded and it's on YouTube. You can view the live stream right now if you want to, but don't, because that would be stupid, because you're basically watching it live, and you can participate. Like, there's no reason for you to go watch the live stream right now. But it'll be recorded and available on YouTube for you to be able to access. And so, while we're going to be going a little bit faster, you will be able to reference it later. That is a fair point. I should disable that.
No.
I'm not going to give you the... Actually, you can all access it just by going to my YouTube channel, liking and subscribing, and then going to the... I'm kidding.
You know,
Okay.
60% of viewers are not
Oh,
subscribed.
God. Thank you, Sandra.
Let's go.
I am removing that. Delete message. Report message. All right. So, Nate, right? Yeah, Nate, you're working on the JavaScript. Let's start. I'll stop talking.
I'll share the 101 slide PowerPoint.
Do you want to do this in PowerPoint or do you want to do this in JavaScript? What medium do you think is best for us?
Is everyone here like familiar with VS Code? Because then I'll do it in VS Code instead of here.
I think most of us are.
Like, raise your hand if you're not familiar with VS Code. Like, okay, cool. We'll just
Okay,
do it here.
Let's do it in here.
I basically just copy pasted all of the VS Code stuff into PowerPoint, so it should be basically the same. Let me see. Is there anything else?
VS Code isn't a
Yeah.
language, Jalen.
No, Scratch is an IDE.
Is it?
So,
Wait,
first
is it
of all,
really? Wait, I thought Scratch was a... Oh, I thought Scratch was a language.
It's both. It's a language and IDE.
Oh, I haven't played with it in such a long time. I thought it was only block code. There was no IDE.
Well,
Or it
you have
wasn't
to
an
edit
IDE.
block code somewhere, so it's also an IDE for that reason.
Oh, can you actually like write? Okay, I guess if it's an IDE. Anyway,
Okay, so anyway, first of all, we're gonna go over how to run code in VS Code. Oh, actually, before that, we need to get everyone to pull all of the stuff. So that's something in the PowerPoint.
so I am going here. Okay.
So yeah, everyone go to command line. Run git status, git checkout main, git pull, git checkout, and then whatever your branch is called. I should probably go slower. So yeah, go check out the main branch. Is everyone on the main branch?
Do I need to zoom in? I'm also demonstrating.
Not if you're on the main branch.
Should we be watching Taylor's screen or Nate's screen?
Either or. I'm just doing what
Yeah.
Nate is saying.
So then once you're on the main branch, run git pull, and then go back to your branch again.
Branch I've been working in. Do I go into the GitHub? Wait.
No, go into the command line and run these commands.
Okay.
Do exactly as I
Okay.
say. I'm going to go here so you can see very clearly what's happening. Okay. I'm just say clear for now. Okay, git checkout main. Okay? Then git
Okay.
pull.
Give me just a second. I have to open a command line.
Okay.
You're good.
Cool.
And then make sure you go into your repository.
Wait, do I open the command line in HTML or should I use PowerShell?
So
You can open it in VS Code, yeah. So if you go
Okay.
into VS Code and click on terminal, new terminal, you can run it here as well.
Okay, I see.
This will be a PowerShell window. So you can say git checkout main, git
Okay.
pull, git checkout your name, git merge main. And what that does is, all right, we're going to switch to the main branch. We're going to pull all the stuff from the main branch. Now we're going to go back to our branch, and then I'm going to take all of the stuff from the main branch and move it into my branch. That's all it does.
Oh. Oh no. Cedar knows the actual like decent tactics for doing that.
We're just gonna stick to the really basic stuff and separate stuff out so people can understand. I don't want to get into something that's really complicated right now. I know to you it may be really simple, but breaking it up into its separate parts and understanding what that command does is important, right? So we're just gonna keep it with these smaller commands.
I'm gonna make a mental note of that because that's
That's
useful
actually-
for me. Thank you.
It is useful. I'm just gonna oh, I can't pin it.
Oh, this is so sad.
That's dumb. I'll do that. There we go.
There we go.
Wait. Super reaction? What?
I don't know why they added that. It's so dumb. It's just yellow now. Just go.
That's racist. Alright.
Also, you guys might want to show your screens just so that it's like,
So we
be
can
like,
see
"Oh,
what's
hey,
going
we
on."
know that you're doing what you're doing.
Okay.
So we're gonna first. I'll just like explain how to run JavaScript files in VS Code because like that's useful to know. Because like along here you might want to run some of these files. So to do that, yeah, open up a terminal. You might also want to just find this file. It's in lessons 5 JavaScript, and then 5.0 running JS files, and they're just hello world.js. So yeah, you might want to just like, is everyone like in the file thing? Yeah, that puts you in the file in the terminal, but I meant like, can everyone see this file? Because
Oh.
it'll make it that way. Yeah, like this, so then you can follow along easier. Taylor.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, now if you go to the terminal tab, you can type in node, and you can type in lesson, and then if you hit tab, it will autocomplete. And if you just like follow this file path, and you just like hit the first like 2 letters, and then you hit tab, and then you repeat that process, you should get this. It's also in the file. Node quotation mark dot slash lessons slash 5 JavaScript slash 5.0 running JS files slash hello world. And if you hit enter, it should log hello world with like an exclamation point. So like, do like the thumbs up emoji in Discord once you've gotten the thumbs up, or the hello world message in the command line.
Here, David, why don't you just copy it from line 6?
Well,
So-
no, but the entire point is now this is. So
He's
that
in
you
the
know how
.get folder.
What?
He's in the .get folder.
Oh. That should be hidden.
Yeah, it should be, and it shouldn't be in that location.
Okay.
How do you have all that stuff? Oh, you did ./. Okay, I see what happened. Node.
Yeah, if you type in like the first letter, then you can autocomplete it.
Now type in 5 and then tab. 5 and then tab again. There you go. And then hello world. You can just type in H and then tab
It's like Minecraft commands.
and then hit enter. Yay! You got it. All right.
So yeah, now if you look at like the rest of these lessons, for some of them at least, they'll log stuff, so then you can actually like run the file. So that's nice.
Personally, I like to CD into the directory and then run at one layer. And so now I'm actually in the as a terminal, I'm in that folder, and then I can just run hello world. That also works. Personally, I like doing that, and then I can CD back, and then 5.1.
And you have to count like the amount of CDs you're doing. I don't know. You have to go like. I don't know.
That's just
But
how I
anyway,
like doing it.
uh,
Both are
So
perfectly
anyway,
valid.
next lesson is the one inside 5.1 intro types, and it's like one variables.js.
My cat.
Um,
Oh my god. Sorry.
so yeah, you might want to go into that file just so you can like follow along, or you can just look at my screen. Either works. So in JavaScript, variables store data. I mean, there's variables in other coding languages, but the important thing is that there's const, var, and let. And const are constant. Let and var are both variables, so they can change. So if you do const c equals a plus 1, and then you do c equals 1, it will throw an error, because c is a constant, so c can't change. Whereas a and b, like, you can change a. And the other thing in here is that var is weird and janky, so don't use var ever. Just like pretend it doesn't exist and only use let and const. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool.
We'll get in. Are we gonna get into why var is janky and weird?
That is a project. It's
Okay, gotcha. It's way
Probably-
later. It's probably in
wait,
scopes.
no, it's
Yeah.
It's scopes. Yeah, it's one
Yeah.
of those projects.
All right.
Kind of hard to explain that. Console.log. When you run something in console.log logs to the console. So if you run console.log hello world, then you can see in the command line it says hello world. That's pretty simple. Strings are just text. There's actually like 3 different ways to create them, which I think that's standard, but like I don't know, there's some languages where I think that's not the case, because like Python uses triple quotation marks, but for JavaScript you use either 1 quotation mark or 2 quotation mark, or like single quotations, double quotation for normal strings. And then if you want a multi-line string, you use like the tilde thing, like not the tilde, but like it's the one when you don't hit shift while hitting tilde. It's not really an apostrophe, it's like the other comma to the top. If you use the multi-line string,
Yeah, I just call it a tilde,
tilde.
but it's not actually a tilde.
Yeah, it's a tilde. So yeah, if you use that, it can be on multiple lines, and then you can also use template strings. So if you have foo, which is world, and you type in bar equals the template string hello, and then $, bracket foo, it will just add foo into the string. So that's useful if you have like a variable that changes, and then you can just change this to like world exclamation point, and then this will also change here. It like inserts it into the string.
But why do we use foo and not like anything else?
Because it's a metasyntactic variable. There's lore behind it.
Syntactic variable.
It's across all syntaxes. No matter the syntax, people use it. I think there's like some World War II backstory, I think. Like the original lore. I think in different countries they actually use like different stuff. Like in France they use Toto and Tete, which is very interesting. And I think some people use Waldo. I think that's like the British.
I was
metasyntactic
expecting
thing.
Toto to be Africa, but whatever.
It's it's based off of like some children's game in France. I don't know.
Oh, come on. That was good.
No, like it really wasn't good.
Cedar smiled. All right.
Okay, that's a good point. Anyway, there's several ways to combine strings. You can use a plus sign. You can use .concat, which is a method. Strings also have a length. So hello is 5 letters long, so hello.length is 5. There's also like you can convert stuff to uppercase and lowercase, but we don't really care. But yeah, if you do like string to uppercase, it makes it uppercase, and if you do to lowercase, it makes it lowercase.
And that's the entire string. That's not like start of each,
Yes.
each letter. That is the entire string. We actually do use this for like username and email checking and stuff like that. That is actually
Oh,
useful.
Yeah. And for
Yeah.
event listeners to make sure
Mhm.
if they have caps lock on, it doesn't break.
That or like a what's it called? Oh, I forgot what it was. Camel case to snake case switching and stuff like that
Yeah, there's that as well.
can be useful.
And then if you wanna see what else you can do with strings, you can go to the MDM documentation. And you can just search up string MDN, and it's just the first one, and it.
I
lists
feel
out
sorry
everything
for
you
your
can do.
RAM.
Oh, yep. Oh look, it's us. Anyway, string project. Do we need a project, or like does everyone already understand how strings work? Can we just skip over this?
Wait, Nate, could you zoom in a bit?
Oh
Please,
sure.
so-
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. So does everyone understand strings are just text, or do you want us to like do a project for that?
Like, does everyone
mean-
understand concatenation and stuff like that?
Yeah. Have we all taken a programming, like, I don't know, comp sci 1?
Yeah, we can probably zip through this a little bit faster.
Okay.
Do
I'll
we
just
want to go
skip-
faster?
We don't care about numbers. I don't think there's anything important here. One thing to note is the modulo operator is not the modulo operator. If you have negative numbers and you take the modulo, it isn't modulo, it's remainder. So that's something, exponents are that and not that, so I guess there's that difference from other programming languages.
Yeah, the
Generally.
uptick, that's a bitwise operator if I remember correctly. Yeah.
So uptick is an exponent, so that's exponent, and then yeah, that isn't technically modulo because
Isn't it
negative numbers break
XOR? I forget what it is.
No, it's still a remainder. It's just buggy.
No, I'm thinking I'm thinking uptick.
So if you do like -5 mod 3, it's -2. So that's one thing to note. Oh, and not a number. I guess I should cover that.
Yeah. Uptick is XOR,
you-
just by the way.
Cool.
That's
So if you subtract 1 from a string, it returns nan. But if you add 1 to a string, it returns string 1. Because of the way type coercion works. So not a number is just when you try to convert something that isn't a number to a number, it will return not a number. And then when you there's certain cases where it will just turn it to a string instead.
yeah, so adding can be
Booleans-
actually adding or concatenation.
Booleans is pretty standard. That's an AND gate, that's an OR gate. I don't think we need to go over that. The other primitives is kind of important. So big int. All numbers are numbers in JavaScript, but there is also big int for like very, very large edge cases. But like we never use them, but like they are there. So like if you put in this number, it will round down to 90. But if you put in that number and then you put in n, it will stay there. So if you ever have like really, really large numbers, then you can use a big int, but like generally we don't care about them. So like because we don't have data that's ever accurate enough, so we don't really care.
Yeah, and at that point,
undefined.
if you really need all of those numbers, likelihood is it's not a sig fig type of thing. It's like you use a string or something. So
Yeah. So like big int's kind of useless. Undefined if you don't give it an initial value, if you set it to undefined, or this is interesting, if you take something and there's not a property but you try to get that property. So if you do like 1.length, it will be undefined instead of throwing an error. So if you have any data and you try to take a property and the property doesn't exist, it won't throw an error, it will just set it to undefined. So that's like good to know because that can cause errors, or it won't cause errors, which ends up breaking your code. Symbols are like a
So you-
primitive. Oh yeah.
So you don't have, so in JavaScript, you don't have to worry about checking for exceptions for variable like types.
you do.
Fine.
There are like cases where you do. So what this is saying is like the prototype for number does not have the property of length, because that doesn't really make sense. And so because it doesn't actually have it, it'll be undefined. However, if you do this 1.length dot something, this will actually throw an error because undefined doesn't have doesn't have something. Right. And so basically what this is saying, this will throw an error.
Yeah, so the only there's certain cases where it will throw an error, but generally it doesn't. But you still have to check for it because if you have undefined showing up on the web page, that's still bad. It's just it doesn't throw an error, so it won't break your code completely, but it'll just show something that isn't valid.
So the easiest way to get around the... Oh, I'm sorry.
But if something is undefined and then you take a property, it will throw an error because nobody knows why. But
however, there's actually a way around this. What you do is you put a question mark right before the period, and this will check, hey, is this undefined? Before it goes on. However, question marks have two purposes. It can be an inline if-then statement or a check. I forget what this is called. It's like an extraction. That's right. Yeah, it's something. So that's also something to understand, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So.
Yeah, and that's just the shorthand for doing other stuff. Symbols are unique strings, which is so random, but the JavaScript developers made it a primitive for some reason. So if you have symbol A and symbol A, they aren't equal. It's just such a specific thing that we don't care about it. I mean, I guess it's useful in some cases. Generally we don't care. And then there's null, which is basically undefined, but it's not equal to undefined. And then if you do type of null, it's object because of a bug. So if you type in type of null, it returns object, whereas you do type of undefined, it returns undefined. So that's just if you're checking for undefined stuff, just be aware that if something's null but not undefined, it's still gonna be an error, but it's not gonna show up when you check for it being type of undefined. So that's just a thing to remember and look out for.
I have a question for everyone. Nate, Sandra, and Daniel, and Jalen, you're not allowed to answer this. Or anyone who has experience with JavaScript, you're not allowed to answer this. What does this evaluate to? Actually, I should get rid of GitHub Copilot. What is type of not a number? By raise of hand, what is that?
Type of not a number.
Type of NaN.
I don't know.
Just think about how bad JavaScript is, and just and make an assumption based on that. Cedar, I see your response. I'm just what is type of NaN? What is its type?
I'm gonna guess int. I'm gonna guess it's a number.
Yep, it's a number. Type of not a number is a number. Welcome to JavaScript.
That's fantastic.
It is also a garbage language for garbage people. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Well, that's because it's stored as a number, and that's kind of how you have to do that. It's basically just the number 10101 inside in bits. They just alternate between 1 and 0, and that's how they created NaN. Is it just a very large number?
It makes sense. Yeah, and also it does make sense why not a number is a number as a type, because you want to keep the prototype and stuff like that. So I get that. It's funny that not a number is a number. So anyway.
It's indeed kind of goofy. Anyway, if statements. This form of if statement everyone's familiar with, I'm guessing. Of if condition, it will run this code, else it will run that code. However, you can remove the brackets here, and you can do it all in one line. So it might be JavaScript specific. I don't know if that's in Java.
It's also is in a feature script, but you have to make sure that you have the semicolon, and you can't have multi-lines. So quick thing about JavaScript is the semicolon is how you make new lines. So technically all of JavaScript is able to be run on one line of code, right? Using for template strings, you use \n for enter for new line, and all new line separations that we see here, you have the semicolon, right? And so what this is saying if Boolean, blah, 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 do this up until this point. And then here. Now, if I put a semicolon here, it'll throw an error. It'll be like, hey, this is ending this entire if statement. But because I'm in a different, when I'm in between these brackets, when I'm inside of like a function but not an object, I'm going to have what's called a scope. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. Nate's going to get into that. You can have semicolons, but that's just something to really understand is semicolons have power. However, some people don't like semicolons, and those people are garbage. So don't be friends with those people. Nate.
Yeah, so there's a not equal operator, that's pretty standard. Then there's all the less than or greater than symbols, those are also pretty standard. And that's generally if statements. I don't think we really need to go over this. You guys have coded before, but this is different. So there's the tertiary operator, which is this question mark thing. Oh, actually, this might be in other coding languages, but I'll go over it anyway. Instead of doing an if statement, you can do Boolean, and then a question mark, and then code that will run if the condition is true, and then a colon, and then code that will run if the condition is false. Or you can do it kind of this way, where you put condition, the value if it's true, and the value if it's false. Is that in Java, Cedar? Is that a Java thing, or is that new to JavaScript? Oh, okay. And David, you've probably seen that before then, if you've taken comp sci.
I took comp sci, but I didn't see that. So it's just like an if-else statement in a single line.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very short thing.
It's very useful for assigning constants or like assigning variables in one line, right? Usually you don't want to do that for like what could be like switch case. You don't want to use it in place of switch case to assign variables, because then your if else like becomes massive, and it gets really hard to read. So it's very useful for when you have very short things. So you have that Boolean, say let thing equals Boolean question mark 1 or 0, right? And so it's very useful for these small things. So right now, Boolean, it'll be 1. If I do this, false, it'll be 0. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And I feel like I should also mention like another shorthand thing people use, which is if you have a variable and you want to check whether it's defined. So if you want to like have a second variable and you want to be like, oh hey, if foo is defined, you'll just have it be the value of foo. So like, but if foo is not defined, you want to give another value. This is the shorthand, is you just use an OR gate. That's probably something I should mention here as well. So if foo isn't defined, it will default here. But if foo is defined, it will go to ABC instead. That's just another shorthand thing that people use for if statements, but like very lightweight. That's just another thing I'll mention. I guess, yeah, next thing is type coercion and truthy. This is a very like JavaScript unique thing because it's just so strange.
You know, I want to interrupt. Do we want to run some sort of project with those things? Do we need to run an exercise on that stuff? You got it? Okay, never mind.
Cool.
Type coercion.
Type coercion. Basically, when you like add a string to a number, it coerces them because strings and numbers are different data types, but JavaScript doesn't want to throw an error, so it just like changes 1 to become like it will change the number into a string in order to preserve the not errorness. So if you add the string ABC to the number 1, it will just return the string ABC1 because 1 got coerced into a string 1, which is very unique to JavaScript. It's because like even in Python, you still need to type in the string in order to convert it to a string, but in JavaScript, it just kind of does it on its own. Values are called truthy or falsy based on whether they're true or false when you turn them into a Boolean. So for example, if you take an empty string and you do if empty string, this won't log because empty strings are not truthy. They're falsy because they're one of the falsy values. Whereas any other string, if you do if that string, it will log. this. So empty strings are falsy because they don't.
Wait. What's the logic behind what coerces into true or false? Like, true and false is just 1 and 0. So, like, why does an empty string coerce into false?
Here, why don't
It's
you
just
close your
kind of
terminal? Nate?
arbitrary.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's kind of just arbitrary based off of what the JavaScript developers decided. It's not like really based on any reason. It's just kind of random.
Well,
So
I
0
disagree. Like, it may seem random, but it does kind of make sense. Why an
There's,
empty
like,
string would
lots of
be
re-
falsy. But there are edge
Yeah,
cases
there's-
that don't make any sense.
So yeah, here's like a table. I don't know. Is there anything else I need to mention here? I'll go over this later. But here's just a diagram of what is truthy and what is falsy. So on truthy, we have any number other than 0, -0, nan. Basically all objects are truthy, but there's like a couple cases where they aren't. Arrays other than empty arrays are truthy. Strings that aren't empty are also truthy. Big ints other than 0, symbols. True is truthy, obviously, because when you turn true into a boolean, it's true. And then empty arrays are also sometimes truthy. 0 is falsy, nan is falsy, 0n, so like big int 0, -0, empty string, undefined, null. This is a really weird case, document.all. There's some weird browser support thing, so they just
Yeah.
like made this falsy to make up for the fact that they screwed up browser support. Empty arrays, if you do an if empty list, it's false, but if you use not empty list, it's true. So it's just strange. And then also false is falsy.
Whoa, wait, really? Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
expect
false
that last one to be.
It's really weird. Whenever you Google up what are falsy values, it's like false, and I was like, okay, I guess that's true. I don't know why you need to mention that, but I guess I'll mention it anyway.
So,
False
I
is
want to
false. You have a
introduce
feeling-
everyone. Oh, you have another column, sorry.
Oh, and there's also nullish, which is where you use the double question marks, and then it's nullish. And it's like a special type of falsy where it's like extra false. That's only undefined and null. Because why not?
So, people make fun of JavaScript a lot because it deserves it. But the reason why like it's kind of bad and it has these weird things is because if they made a JavaScript 2.0 and made breaking changes, those breaking changes could wreck like a foreign national economy because a website uses like some logic based on like that old stuff. So like you don't actually, that's actually a really bad thing to like
So here,
create that. So I want to introduce everyone to a new programming language. We're not going to name the name of the programming language because it's offensive. So if everyone looks at my screen, there is this programming language. This is valid JavaScript. This is
oh yeah.
valid JavaScript. And I'm gonna say that one more time. This is valid JavaScript. Okay? It is only written in 6 characters?
Yeah.
Exclamation point, open bracket, empty bracket, parentheses. No, wait, no parentheses. Oh, wait, no, yeah,
Yeah,
parentheses.
there's parentheses.
Add, and there's one more. 0.
Oh,
I think you're allowed
exclamation
0.
points. No,
I
there's
got
no
exclamation
zeros,
point.
exclamation points.
I
You
forget what
don't
it
need
is.
zeros because you have plus.
All right,
array.
0 can be that. That's right.
'Cause
So,
arrays that are empty are actually just empty strings for some reason.
so this is the prime example of type conversion, right? So, this is how you get these big values, or the primitives and all of that stuff, using just these several characters, and it's all based on type coercion. It's a garbage language. Don't actually write like this. It's almost as bad as CSS. All right, moving on.
So when you say the name for this type of writing is offensive, do you mean that literally?
Yes, I
Yes.
do. We're not going to name it because this is live streamed.
It's based off of the
Oh.
other funny programming language that uses very small amounts of characters. Yeah.
If you're actually interested in what this is, I can send you a direct message, but I will not say it on this live stream. I'm sorry.
We can just look it up.
Yep.
So anyway, besides truthy, there's other types of type coercion. So like if you add a string to a number, it turns it into a number. If you add an array to a number, it turns it into a string. Or no. If you add a string to a number, it turns it into a string. If you add an array to a number, it also turns it into a string because why not?
But you have objects, which arrays are technically objects, and if you add an object to a number, it does turn into a string, but it concatenates it differently.
Yeah, there's some weird crap there. The other thing is if you want to if you have like a number, but it's like a string, like if it's just like a number with quotation marks around it, you can just put a plus sign in front of it, and then poof, it's a number now.
So
You
that
might
was
need to add zero to it.
so if you look at the notation for the thingy, if you do plus, wait, I need to share, sorry. If you do plus undefined, this is 0. Or wait,
it's
no,
plus
sorry.
empty array,
Plus empty
because
array.
empty arrays are full string.
Empty array is false, and so if you do plus false, it'll be 0. Right? If I do not
Yeah.
that is technically true. And that's what's weird.
Yeah.
So 0 equals true. That's what we got from that.
Yeah.
That's why it makes
the
no
other
sense.
thing
Which is
is-
not true. 0 is not
You
true.
can do like the normal way of just putting like big int and then quotation or parentheses and then putting the thing or string parentheses the thing, and that's like the normal way to do it, but it's not as swag as this, and this is shorter.
There's
So you can
also
see people doing
prototype.
stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, there isn't because the constructor messes stuff up and that doesn't work completely.
Well, you can also use like methods off of most things, like 1.2 string.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
sorry,
You can
that's
do that
in the
as well.
prototype, but due to type coercion, it just does that already.
I thought you meant.
Oh no, you can't say new string, new big int. Right, I see what you're saying.
No, I thought you meant going like normal number dot proto. And I was like, no, please don't.
No.
Anyway,
No.
this is like a project we should probably actually do just because like type coercion is weird and it's probably not familiar to most people. So this should be in 5.2 scopes and stuff, and then 2 type coercion and truthy, and then 3 project. So like take a number and see how many types you can convert it into, and then try to convert it back. And then like preferably try to keep it the same number, but like sometimes it won't be the same number. And then try this out with different numbers to see which ones are preserved the most. Good luck. Also, like if you just do string number, like sure, I guess you can do that. That's slightly cheating.
Oh, if everyone looks at my screen, so I just did this, right? So this evaluates to string of 2. But this is different. So if I do new num plus equals new num, that's different than this. And you probably know what this does. It just adds 1 to new num, or sorry, adds new num to new num. Well, I just gave one potential solution, okay?
That's a third of the solutions.
But like, they should see the difference. I've always been sharing my screen. It's not like this is a secret. And don't you have the solutions here?
Yeah, but now you told them to look at it. Also, David, it's in 5.2, and then so it's like the third file down.
Hey.
It's coercion. It's the second one. It's above that. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Nate.
The file system's a bit janky. So it's
Yeah, I kind of know.
it's like 3 project. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like nested a bunch of folders because of the weird way I did things. Sorry. Yeah, JavaScript isn't type safe, so you can't type in bool. It just kind of like changes it to whatever. It's like when you create a variable, you don't actually put what type it is. You just kind of put that it's a
So
variable.
how do But wait, so then how do I convert to a different type of variable if I can't put?
You just assign it.
Wait, let me look.
You assign it. You like mess around with it. So you use like
Okay.
double not gate. Is one example. So you can use a not gate twice, and then it will convert the number.
Haha. Darn it. So it turns out you can't turn it into a function, which returns itself and back. I just learned that.
Can't?
Now look,
Really? Can't you just do new function?
this doesn't work.
Wait, what? Why would that not work?
It's NaN because at this point new num is already assigned evidently.
Oh yeah. Well, I meant you can create new variables. You don't have to do it all as one.
Oh, I could do...
You can
Oh,
do-
I see what you're saying. New
you can do
function.
constant. I mean, you can do that as well. I just meant like you don't need to reuse the same variable for every single.
No, I want to though.
Okay, you want to. Sure. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like you're trying to.
Assign it over and over again.
Okay, sure.
Dang it. Now it's undefined.
David, it should be, and if you hit 2 and then hit tap and hit like 2 again. So if you do lessons 5, you can kind of just go based off the numbers. Oh. And you type in 5 again, yeah, and then 2. And you can like type in just the first character, yeah, and then 3 as well because it's like 4 files and you can also hit the up arrow so that you don't have to retype all that.
What did you say to type in? 2?
3.
Okay.
You can just look on the left and there's like all the numbers and just copy that. Usually the numbers aren't gonna be there,
Okay.
but like I added them just so that they're ordered correctly. Yeah. Oh hey.
Okay.
Wait, how did that work?
I did it.
Wait, how did that work?
What did I just do? Did I
Yeah,
just break
so
JavaScript?
bool
Oh, no,
equals
that makes
false,
sense.
which is 0, and so you add num to 0. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's cursed, but it makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's garbage.
0 plus 2 equals 2. Yeah, that makes sense.
I made it an array that returns itself.
Cool. Why does Cedar have gnomes? What is happening?
I can't see his screen.
Okay. Well.
Oh.
Wait, what? Why? Because true is undefined.
Did I not save?
Oh, that could be it as well. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't save. Okay.
I was concerned there. Because, yeah, true should be lowercase. Because it's not Python. So, yeah.
What else? What other types of coercion did you guys mention?
You can turn it into undefined.
Haha.
Well, that's not very useful, is it?
It really isn't.
Alright, look at what I did.
You didn't even turn it into undefined. How? That's...
No, I turned it into an array of itself and returns its the first thing only using new num and a function. And then I make it a string, and then I add itself to itself.
Also, that's not going to work for every number. You should do new num minus equals new, and then it will always be 0.
No, I'm trying to keep 2.
Yeah, but like sometimes the number will be 3, and then the new num minus twice will not work. So, in order to preserve it being always functional, you should... Okay, that works as well.
Ooh, I want to make it.
Oh god. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Let's just do that, and the num will be equal to 0. Oh my god.
This is valid code.
Just do new num minus equals new num. It's like a reliable way of doing that. Anyway, should we like cut this off at some point, or?
This will, if I do new num minus equals new num, then I do 5 minus 5, and that'll be 0.
Yeah, isn't that
And
what
num
you
will
want?
never equal new num.
Yeah, but you want it to be 0.
No, I want it to, oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway, I don't know. When should I show the solution?
Alright,
I don't know. To be honest.
let's see what you did.
Okay, so you can convert it into a string this way. You can convert it into a boolean. You can convert it into undefined that way. But they're only semi-preserved. The string is completely preserved because strings like preserve it. Boolean is slightly preserved. It preserves if the number is 0, it will preserve, and if the number is 1, it will preserve. But if the number is 2, it won't. And then undefined, it only preserves if the number is 0 because it will always be 0. So that's just an example of how you convert types into other types. That's like a weird shorthand. If you do plus, not, and then 0, it converts it to 1. Or like if you do plus, or no, it will convert it to 0. But if you do plus, not, and then a value, it will convert it to 1 or 0 based off truthy. If you do not a number, it converts it into a boolean because a not gate and a not gate cancel out, but they still convert it to a boolean anyway. So that's like a one way you can turn things into booleans, and that's actually pretty useful in some cases. So that's like good to know. And there's that conversion, and then you can convert things into undefined that way. Those are my ideas. I think there's some other things though. I don't know what Cedar's doing. That looks scary.
You got some not arrays.
Yeah, that's a lot of not gates. Somehow, after all that, it's still preserved. That's kind of impressive.
Alright,
Anyway,
are there anything
next
else?
thing- there's nothing else really on the topic of type conversion. There's probably other stuff I could cover, but like that's generally the gist of it. So yeah, the next thing is switch cases. It's just like a different way of doing if else's, but like for like a very specific case, where you put like a variable, and you put the possible values, and then you have a default as well,
Shoot.
and it will do stuff based off each value. This is like in every coding language. I don't think I need to cover this in that much depth.
This is really useful with enums, but JavaScript doesn't have enums. So,
So it's not very useful.
yeah.
Like there's a couple. This is like useful for like I'd say like event listeners. There's like if you want to do like u.key and you want to be like, oh hey, for each key this is what it will do.
Mhm.
That's useful then. There's a couple other places where this is useful, but like it only comes up like from time to time. Does everyone here like understand switch cases, or do I need to go over that? Okay,
Cool.
Scopes. Scopes, like, they're in other programming languages, but there are some weird things. Yeah, this concept of the scope. It's like global variables are in the global scope. Well, I guess there aren't really scopes in Java as much as there are in JavaScript. So yeah, and there's a global scope, which is just like if you write stuff outside of any if statements or functions or whatever. And then if you put if true, it creates a new scope. So you can access variables from outside the scope, but if you create a variable in the scope, you can't access it from without the scope.
Those are absolutely Java absolutely has scopes. You can actually trick compilers by using if true to generate a new scope and stuff.
But it doesn't. Does it really have? Does it have the global scope? I don't know if it does.
Yeah, it does. You can make constants in the global scope and use them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, so then this is
Yeah.
I mean, people know what scopes do. One thing is vars and lets do different things inside of scopes. So that's something to note. And here's the project is to figure out what the difference between let and var is. So create a new scope with if true, then define a var and a let inside the scope, and then try interacting with them outside the scope, and then what are the differences between them. That's the next project. There's a bit of JavaScript research, because they're very different in very strange ways too.
Let makes so much sense. Var just gives everyone headaches, but people use var so much because it's variable, and so people associate, oh, we need to make a variable with var, and what they should be using is let because it makes so much sense.
But yeah. Well, Cedar, create it inside the scope because that's where it like shows up the most.
You just gave it away, dude.
What? That was the instructions.
Oh.
I don't know why it is. Well, Jalen, it's because they added it and then they can't remove it now because it would break too much code. The one thing is, if you compile TypeScript, it compiles everything to a var. This is so goofy. It's just pain.
Jalen, I can't tell if you're saying that for the developers or for the users. Because the developers cannot do that. They're not allowed to. But for users to fix it, they just use let. Because var sucks.
The var is useful in some cases if you're doing weird stuff with window. And I'll show more stuff about var because there's weirder stuff too.
Wait, so how would you initialize a variable to be a var? Because I'm trying like var equals or v equals var, but I can't get it.
You just say var x equals thing. Same thing with const, same thing with let.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you don't need a let or var unless it's used strict. So there's a specific JavaScript mode will prevent you from just initializing variables the Python way, but like you can do it the non-Python way.
Mm-hmm. When we get into TypeScript, things will start making a lot more sense. But you need to understand how ugly JavaScript is before we get into TypeScript, before you can really appreciate what TypeScript does. However, it still kind of sucks.
Yeah, TypeScript actually breaks weird stuff with like using this inside a static method.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks inside TypeScript, and it's very sad.
But it depends on what version you're using, Nate.
Oh,
I think.
It might
Yeah.
be that. Okay.
One thing that I wish TypeScript would do is return an enum with an exception. like an exception enum with functions that you could handle.
Yeah.
That would be really useful.
There's a lot of stuff TypeScript can do. That's
Enums exist in TypeScript, but not JavaScript. Just wanted to throw that out there.
okay.
So, is everyone to a place where they like understand, or are they stuck with var and let?
I was experimenting, and it looks like for some reason var doesn't obey scope.
Mm-hmm.
Which is about all I got.
Yeah, and so
basically what you supposed to get.
that's exactly what it is. And so if you look at my screen, at this point, this will log. I'll actually use. Here we go. This will log foobar. This will log that, and this will log that. Okay. So in the global scope, let foo is 0, and here it is 0. But because bar is var, and I initialize bar as a var, and here as 4, the bar changes from here to here, and it stays changed to outside scopes. And that's why var is confusing.
And the other thing about var is there's actually an object that contains every single var as properties, which is just so insanely goofy.
Only in
but
the
for some
DOM,
reason-
though.
Yeah, no, if you use this, I'm pretty sure it exists in other places.
In Node? I don't think it works in Node.
It might. But yeah, for some reason, the JavaScript developers made it so that when you
Oh, it
initialize
does.
a var, it actually is stored inside an object, and you can access that object like you'd access any object. So that's why var is global, is because it's actually part of the global object, which contains every global info.
There's also
why
another
the-
thing.
Const don't do that.
Right.
It's nice.
There's also another thing to understand. You can say let thing here as well. Whoops, I need to add thing. So I can make a const in one scope and change it to a let in another scope, or a var in another scope. You're good. So that's the thing about constants, is they're not constant. They're only constant in the scope that you have initialized them. You can actually change them by using these initializers in other scopes, but it doesn't change it in the global scope.
Yeah, Cedar, you missed out. Every single variable is also in the global object, and it's a property of the global object. So yeah, have fun with that. If you do var foo, window.foo will also be equal to that. And
I think
but it won't be that for let. So
if I do
that's why you
so,
have var.
if you type in node into a command line, you can just write JavaScript and have it work. So console.log. Hi. See, it runs. So I'm going to type in this, and now you can see that it has something. So I'm going to say foo, let foo equal thing. Yeah.
So this
This
dot
foo
will be
doesn't
undefined
exist.
because it's a let. But if you do var, it will be, and then you do this dot var, it does exist. So that's why you don't use var, is because it does that terrible nonsense. So just yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So it kind of makes sense now why like it is changed, because it's changing in the global object. So
yeah. There you go. That's var versus let. So now while loops. I mean, they're while loops. This is in every programming language. Also, yeah, you can use plus equals 1 or plus plus to increase the number by 1. Everyone knows how while loops works, I think. I don't think I need to cover this. one thing is infinite loops. If you do while true, in most programming languages, it's not that bad. If you do while true inside a what?
Sorry, I'm talking to someone else.
Oh, okay, cool.
Inside a browser.
Yeah, if you do while true inside a browser, it kind of it breaks the browser. So don't do while true in a browser because it will prevent Chrome from loading. I'll just open up Edge to demonstrate. I don't want to open up Chrome to demonstrate because I don't want to break Chrome. So if we do Control-Shift-I, and we do while true.
While talent. What was that?
I don't know, telemetry data or something. And I just try like running normal code. Well, first of all, I can't, like, the autofill isn't working because Edge is janky. That's not really related.
Wait, is autofill part of the global event loop?
Apparently it is.
Huh.
But anyway, you can't hit enter. The key listener for hitting enter breaks. If I open up a new tab, you can see it just kind of, it's still loading. If you try closing, it doesn't let you close. because there's an event listener for closing, and it's waiting for this while true to finish. But the while true is never going to finish, so I just can't exit the page. You have to go into like Task Manager and close the window, or else it'll never close. So that's why we don't use while loops, is because it does that nonsense. And then the same thing is true for for loops. If you do for and the middle condition is true, it will also cause an infinite loop. So yeah, don't do that. Don't use infinite loops inside browsers because it breaks the browser. No, I'm not gonna go over the while project. And then yeah, for loops, they're the same as while loops, but like you have the condition in the middle, you have the variable initialization there, and then you have the increment there, and that makes sense. I don't think I need to cover that.
Did you have we talked about arrays yet?
No, we're gonna talk
Okay.
about arrays all the way down.
So then the
strictly
for
to
loops in there. Okay, yeah, I'll get out of that.
functions. Yay, it's a function. That's like the standard notation. You do function, then you type in the name of the function, parentheses, parameters, and the return value. You like return and then the value. It's not func or like def. It's function in JavaScript, so that's easy to remember. If you have multiple parameters, you just separate them with a comma. They can interact with. They also create scopes. It's the same as if statements. There's a couple other like. The one thing is functions are also variables, so you can set a variable to a function. So you can do like func1 const func1 equals function, and then the parameters, and then the return value. So you don't just have to define it this way. You can also define it that way.
You can also
There's
use
also-
let and var, but don't, please.
Yeah, you can use let and var if you want to change the function for whatever reason. I guess that's useful in some cases. You might want to have a function that changes.
Very
I
few
don't-
cases that I can think of.
There's like some edge case out there.
Yeah.
You can also use arrow syntax, where you put the parentheses parameters, then you put like a little arrow thing, and then you put bracket, and then you have the return value the same way. And then if you only have one parameter, you don't need the parentheses for the arrow notation. You still need it for the function notation, though. And then also the final thing is if you just want to return something and if you don't have like multiple lines of code, you can remove the curly brackets entirely, and you can just have like the parameter and then just the return value, and then you don't need to write anything else. And
Be
there's
sure
also
to
this
use
filter that-
semicolons, though. If you do that, you need semicolons.
And then you can also do new function because JavaScript comes. You can do that graph, but please don't do this. But like this will appear somewhat often if you just want a short function and you want to like pass it into another function, then like this is useful. This is also useful. That's also useful, and that's also sometimes useful. This is kind of unnecessary. And this is
I'm
like,
gonna
just
add on to
another-
this.
Okay.
If you have a function with default values, so const thing
Oh yeah.
equals new function. You're good. I'll take care of it. You're good. You're good. So if you want to say like const multiply by 2 default, you say equal x comma y equals 2. And you multiply x, x times y. And so what this does is a console.log multiply by 2, 2. This will be 4. But if I do multiply 2 and 3, so what this says is you don't actually have to put in this variable into here. This parameter, not variable. You don't actually have to put that in. Does that make sense to everyone? It's just default values. In TypeScript it's better, but whatever.
And the other thing to note is that if you don't put in the correct amount of parameters for a function, it doesn't throw an error. So if you like leave this blank, it will just set this to undefined.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like function A takes in A, comma B, comma C, and then console.log C, and you call A, and then you don't put any parameters, this will just log undefined. So that's another thing to note, is that it doesn't throw an error if you don't put the correct amount of parameters in. It just sets all the parameters to undefined if they're not defined.
And I think those are initialized as lets and not vars.
They
That's
are.
one thing to understand.
Which is why it's blue.
But what I mean by that is like they're not vars in terms of scopes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That would be very bad if they were vars, because then if you call the function twice, they like changes stuff in the global scope. That would be weird. Yeah, but that's just something to note, is that errors, like you'll have errors because of this, because it's not gonna just like throw an error, it's gonna just go with it, because that's the way JavaScript is.
However, there are things in the DOM that'll be like, hey, we expected 2 things but only got 1, or we got 3 things but only expected. Actually, no, I think the 3 things but expected 2 is actually inherent, but you will see those occasionally. They speak for themselves.
Yeah, sometimes like certain things will actually have checks. Do you guys want to do a thing for functions, or do we not want to do a project for it?
I think we're good.
Cool. Oh, interval and timeout.
By the way, how late were we planning on going tonight?
Oh.
I was gonna plan on 9, but I feel like we're on a roll. When do we want to end? Is 9 okay? Or do you want to end now?
So the thing is, I might need to check on my brother and sister because I'm the only one watching them.
Oh.
But
if you need to leave, if we need to end now, we can. Interval is actually a good place to start on later. In my opinion, we went through the major aspects of JavaScript.
Okay. That sounds fine to me. What about all you guys?
Cedar said 9 o'clock is fine. There are some things that we need to like work on with the scouting team, so we can be done, if that's okay. Thank you for interrupting, David. I totally did not look at the clock at all.
Okay.
All right.
All right. That sounds good. See you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, wait.
If there are any questions, does anyone have any questions about anything that we've discussed? We need to establish like some sort of project for next week, or something for you to do by next week. We'll figure something out. Yeah, I'll make an announcement tomorrow. So does anyone have any questions about what we went over? No? I'm hungry.
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Alrighty, thank you.
A little late for that.
Yeah, exactly. David and Cedar, thank you for joining us. You are dismissed, I guess. Wait, where'd Daniel go?
I think his Wi-Fi probably died here, like, because his computer had the thingy where it, like, picks him up. Or he just left because we're boring.
That's fair. We deserve that. Actually, no, that's you. You're the one presenting today.
Well,
You're the one who's boring. Oh, I'm still live
Okay.
streaming. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Cedar.
Bye.
Wait,
Oh, why
where'd
don't we make a
Jalen
little
leave?
bit- maybe he's going to the other call.
Oh, yeah, let's go to the original call. I'm gonna
Also,
stop
when you post
recording.